You can't do it all. I'm sorry, but you can't. There is only one of you, and there is a mountain of stuff that needs to be done every single day when you own your own business. And you're always needing to learn new things, try new things, do things differently. The learning curve is steep. The to-do list is long. And there are still only 24 hours in a day, some of which need to be spent sleeping, showering, eating, resting. So you can't do it all, which means you need to do the most important things first. And you need to find a way to do as much of the necessary but not important stuff as possible. So how do you do that? Well, in this video, we're going to focus on how to make your business work as a solopreneur. Hi, I'm Sally. I help overwhelmed small business owners transform their businesses to take better care of their clients and themselves. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't focus at least one of these videos on the issues faced by solopreneurs when it comes to time management and prioritization. Because doing the work all by yourself is its own monster, and the solutions that are available to people with employees just aren't there when the team is literally you. In this case, prioritization really has to be your first line of defense, though we will talk about some other possibilities later on in the video. When you are a business of one, prioritization is key. I am not kidding. You have got to be on top of your priorities when you run your own shop. It's the only way you'll keep from drowning. You need to be clear on the things that get to have your finite focus, energy, and attention. Otherwise, you'll constantly be playing whack-a-mole with issues, and you will not only exhaust yourself, at some point you'll miss something really important because it fell off your radar and got buried under a pile of other tasks. Prioritization is also important for you as a solopreneur because it will help you be more productive. You'll have a clear understanding of what needs to happen next and why. And because you know this thing you're working on matters to the success of your business, you'll also be able to avoid distractions and get it done. And before we move on to how to prioritize when you're a solopreneur, one last thing about why you especially need to prioritize. Now, even though this isn't about business per se, it needs to be said. And that is that you absolutely must put yourself at the top of your priority list. You need to make sure you're eating well and getting enough sleep and getting quality rest. And quality rest, that's when you step away from work and do things to feed your soul, like spend time with friends, exercise, or engage in hobbies. I know how easy it is to let every single other thing go by the wayside just to focus on the business, but that is the fast track to burnout. And burnout is an awful, awful experience. Please believe me when I tell you that you do not want to go there. And if my telling you it's horrible isn't enough, let me put it this way. If you burn out, you won't be able to work on your business. Take it from someone who knows. So put your own wellness on that list of priorities right at the top. So now that I've got that off my chest, how does a solopreneur prioritize when everything feels like it's on fire? Now, I've already covered the Eisenhower Matrix and the ABC method of prioritization and scheduling, along with a brief introduction to time blocking in earlier videos in this series, and you can find the playlist here. And really, those are the best tools you can use. But I think it's important to also note that as a micro business owner, it is particularly vital that you be absolutely clear on the reasons you are doing all of this work. In my work with clients, I begin by making sure they have a crystal clear understanding of the purpose of their business, the purpose it's created to serve, and we return to that purpose again and again, because this is the thing that informs every decision you make, along with giving you the motivation to keep going in those moments when you just want to crawl under your desk and cry. Your purpose will tell you what your priorities are. Your purpose will inform your business goals and objectives. It will shape the ways in which you go about doing things. And you'll know when you stepped away from it because everything will get more difficult and messy. So first, identify your purpose. Get really, really clear on why you started this business and why you need it to succeed. And then use that information to determine where everything else goes on the Eisenhower Matrix. And speaking of the Eisenhower Matrix, let's talk about that pesky urgent but not important quadrant, because that's the tricky one when you're working for yourself by yourself. Oh, the urgent but not important quadrant, the delegate or do the minimum quadrant. In my video about the Eisenhower Matrix, this one, I mentioned some possibilities for addressing the things that have to be done, but also aren't the primary money makers or planning or strategy activities of your business. Things that you can do to deal with these tasks include scheduling short windows of time in your day to focus just on them, while time blocking larger chunks for your priority tasks. Hiring a virtual assistant to handle the small things that come up regularly if you have the budget. Hiring a freelancer or other professional for one time or infrequent activities if they'll take away too much focus from your priorities, but have to be done, like hiring an accountant to do your taxes and other business financial stuff, or a web designer to get everything up and running for you on your website. And look into what you can automate. Most scheduling software, for instance, has automatic email and text reminder sequences you can build so that you don't need to take the time to send out appointment reminders by yourself. You can just set it and forget it, as it were, and the software does it all for you once the client books an appointment. And some billing systems can be automated as well. Most billing systems, really. You could even use AI to help you with some basic writing tasks as a way to save time and effort for more important things. For example, I am terrible at coming up with titles. It has always been a struggle for me right back to elementary school. But I can look at a list of title options generated by AI and find something good that I can tweak to make even better. And believe it or not, that probably saves me 30 minutes per video for my channel, if not more. And I'd much rather spend that half hour doing research or working on the actual content than struggling with a title. But let's also look at how you can make things work and flow more smoothly in your business so that you can work smarter, not harder. So let's talk about finding ways to streamline the work you do. Things like batching, reusing content, and creating templates. And first, let's briefly talk about batching. Batching is when you do a whole lot of a specific thing at once, like shooting 2 to 3 videos or writing the content for several newsletters in the same session, or a bunch of blog posts. It minimizes setup time because you're working on the same kind of thing, and it also allows you to get into a groove so your brain can just kind of roll with it. And this both helps you prepare a lot of stuff in advance, and it reduces your stress level because you've now taken all of August's weekly newsletters off your to-do list. You don't have to make a space for them every week. And I use batching all the time, and it is chef's kiss, such a helpful way to focus. On to reusing. Here's the thing. You don't have to write fresh content for every single marketing thing. Write a cool article for your newsletter, make it a blog post on your website too. Condense it and rephrase it a bit for LinkedIn or Facebook posts. Put the best bits on relevant visuals and use them for Instagram, Threads, or other visual media. Record them as short form content and put them on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. You've just done a bunch of marketing stuff from one piece of content. And speaking of reusing, are you using templates yet? What is a thing that you do over and over again that you could speed up significantly if you pulled an old one and used that as a guide for the new one? Here's another example from my own business, the graphics for my videos. I want to keep the graphics for my videos consistent. You always know what my videos are going to look like, and the visuals can help reinforce learning. So before I edited my very first video, I created a graphics template that I work from every time. Now I've adapted it and adjusted it as time has gone on, and I've seen what works and what doesn't, but that template means that all I have to do is decide which kind of graphic I want to use, change the words, fiddle briefly with the sizing, and then boom, I'm done. And here's where batching comes in. I do all of the graphics for a video before I edit it, and that way all I have to do is add them in at the appropriate times. It saves me so much time, and it means I don't have to bounce my focus back and forth between video editing and graphics creation. Which reminds me of one more thing that batching, reusing, and templates can all be a part of that will help you work smarter: developing processes. Using this channel as an example yet again, I have a very specific process I've built for video creation that saves me significant time, and I know it does because I've tracked it. And the great thing about that is that because I've figured out how to do this relatively quickly, I can sometimes, hopefully more frequently as time goes on, put out more than one video a week. I have plans for this channel. I have grand plans for this channel. So here's what I strongly recommend for you as a solopreneur who wants to stay on top of things as much as possible. Know your purpose and let it guide everything you do in your business. Prioritize the living daylights out of your to-do list. Practice priority-based scheduling. Use automation, develop systems and processes, and take advantage of templates, content reuse, and batching. Hire help when you can. And speaking of help, if you'd like to learn the specific processes I follow with my clients to help them transform their businesses, you'll want to watch this video.